It is my pleasure to be joined by my old friend, the Baltic Gladiator, Mr. Modestas Bukauskas, ahead of his return in Seattle on February 22nd to take on Raffael Cerqueira, is how I'm going to pronounce that. Apologies if that is wrong. I'm sure you've had to deal with that a fair few times, telling people the name. Just comes with the
Oh yeah,
territory.
100% with my name. Yeah.
um,
Oh,
let's talk about this kind of period of the last year or so. Obviously, pretty well documented the changes you've made in recent times regarding your training and everything like that. Did it feel any different to you going out there in Manchester for that last win at 304? Because as I said to you at the time, it felt like perfect timing in terms of you joining the likes of Tom Aspinall and Mick Parkin in that gym because you guys were all sharing the card together. Whereas in the past, obviously, you work previously, you do some training here and there with some bigger teams, but for the most part, it was a very small knit team community with yourself and your dad and Will and those guys. So it felt a little bit more like you had a bit of a gang, all of you going together, all to fight and all
yeah.
working towards that same date. So how different was that for you?
Yeah, as a whole team, whole crew, like family vibes. And I've been carrying on the same routine pretty much going into this fight. Yeah, when I fought in Manchester, it just felt like, like a whole army going in and going into conquer new territory, conquer new lands, or essentially defend home turf. And obviously it was amazing. All the three lads that fought from up north, Mick Park and Tom and myself, we all brought back the wins, which was amazing. And yeah, like I say, I've just they're such a great team. Like they've been helping me out so much. The coaches and Andy and Mike and all the other coaches have all been like looking in closely to try and fine tune like the training and techniques to my opponent as well. They've been helping out, like telling me where I need to work on things. So they've literally, like I say, taken me in with open arms, and I'm extremely grateful to have such a team like looking out for me, looking after me, and training with the best in the world as well. These guys are literally the top of the weight class, which is absolutely amazing. And being the smallest guy in the room, you can't really get any better in terms of training with heavyweights. So yeah, I've just been pretty much carrying on the same routine, and yeah, I can definitely feel the benefits.
It feels as well like maybe this is just because I constantly see the social media posts and photos of the room and how many guys that are there. It feels like even when there are people in that room that don't have fights coming up, because there's always someone in that room who has probably got a fight around the
Yeah.
corner. It feels like, at least from the outside looking in through the social media stuff that gets put up, there's no break in momentum. It's constantly, okay, who's up next? Who's up next? What's the next challenge? Right. And it just keeps that ball rolling, which is so hard to do when some of you guys, especially the guys in the UFC, yourself, Mick, and Tom, the nature of it being one of the biggest gyms in terms of the size of the people in there is you're not going to fight that often because there aren't that many light heavyweights and heavyweights out there. But it feels like you're able to keep that momentum going by the fact that you're all training together. And as a result, someone's always got something they're working towards.
Oh, 100%. And I think it just goes in line with, Tom's philosophy is to just train all the time. And I'm lucky that that also is in line with my philosophy for training. You should always be in shape. You should always be trying to improve your skill set. So because Tom's always doing that, like, anytime I message him and ask him if there's training going on, like he'll always, welcome me to come up and train with the guys and stuff like that. Even if there's less people, we're still going to be training. And yeah, exactly, with that family vibe and team spirit that we've created up there. Yeah, like pretty much everyone's just trying to help each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like I say, I'm extremely grateful for all of those guys. Give me really good rounds. Simeon Powell's just been coming up to train with us up there as well, which has been absolutely amazing. He's also going to be in my corner. So like we've got a whole host of like very top talented athletes, and yeah, it's great that we're training all the time, and like I say, because of Tom's philosophy of wanting to stay in shape all the time, like it blends in very well with myself. So yeah, it's just a constant circle, and it's not often you get that heavyweight. So yeah, it's been amazing for sure.
I know from speaking to you in the past that, if you look at the numbers of the current amount of people that are in the UFC's heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions, it's not easy to get fights when you want to get them, right? There's just not enough bodies in the promotion, in MMA as a whole, in order to always do that. Tom, in a way, is kind of the ultimate example of this, in that for the past 6 months, if not longer, the whole talk around Tom has been, we know what everyone wants to be next, but we have no idea whether it will happen. And I'm sure that's been a strange period for him, where I'm sure he gets stopped on the street constantly, people coming up to him, when are you fighting Jon Jones? What's happening? And he's like, you know as much as I do. I'm trying to get this
Yeah.
fight, but who knows whether it's going to happen. I feel like there must be some lessons in being around a guy like that who has got the most talked about fight in MMA right now that no one even knows if it's actually going to happen yet. For you, when you've had difficulties in the past with, I want to fight here, but who knows when that's going to happen, I'm kind of staying busy just in case something comes across, to see the way that Tom deals with that, like you said, his attitude towards constantly training and being ready, even though, they're not going to suddenly say, you're fighting Jon Jones in 3 weeks. They're going to, this is going to be a pushback thing and a lot of hype and stuff into it. But his mentality towards, this Jon Jones fight might happen, it might not. In the meantime, I'm going to work every day to be the best version of Tom Aspinall that I can be in case it does happen.
I mean, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Realistically, it just goes along with the same theme of, like I mentioned when I came back to Cage Warriors, and it's just like you just gotta stay that whole long period of deciding when, or trying to figure out when I'm gonna fight again after this injury and stuff like that. And even the mentality of trying to enjoy every day as it is and trying to live the pure life of an athlete. Do you know what I mean? Like Tom literally embodies that whole that pure mind, body, and soul of being an athlete and trying to do everything to the nth degree. Do you know what I mean? Trying to take everything to the next level and trying to improve his skill set. So yeah, I've definitely taken in a lot of lessons from him, because he never wavers. He's always training. Do you know what I'm saying? Even if the intensity is not quite so crazy, like I say, you've always got to try and learn. You've always trying to got to build, because there's guys that are up and coming that are going to be very hungry to reach the top, and they're going to be absorbing and learning things and stuff like that. So you can't stay stagnant in this game. It's constantly leveling up. So it's better, like I say, I mean, you've got such a short period of time to make a splash, and then you're out of here and you're gone. Do you know what I mean? So you need to just, like I say, live with that athlete as much as you can, because at some point in time it's going to be finished. So yeah, you've got to just keep staying motivated and just keep training. Yeah, like I say. Tom, he knows, hopefully at some point he'll have something on the horizon. So, all he can do right now is just make sure he'll be ready for when that opportunity comes, because literally they could come at any time, and you can't plan these things, especially in his position.
No, I'm totally gonna be stretching this link here right now, and I don't know how many people know about this, but of course you do currently train with Tom Aspinall now, and I know through speaking to you in the past that there was a very short amount of time in the past where you trained with Jon Jones, which is very rare. Right? There's probably only, I don't know how many people there are that have trained with both Tom and Jon at some point in their careers. That's a very small amount of people, I'm sure. I want to, instead of asking you too much to break down Jon Jones as a training partner of Tom Aspinall, I want to know a little bit about Tom in terms of what the people who think he won't beat Jon Jones tend to say, being experience, specifically in regards to later rounds and things like that. Because I've spoke to you before about what was your impression of first training with Tom. You said the same thing that everyone does. He's so fast for a heavyweight, and faster than some of the guys you said that you have fought at light heavyweight. But talk to me about the stuff that we haven't maybe seen from Tom yet, in terms of his cardio ability in the later rounds, his fight IQ in the later rounds, because you talk to people and they constantly will tell you that it's not a concern. And yet, if you talk to people about this fight, it's the first thing they point to. Jon Jones is the
Yeah,
greatest of all time. No one can match his experience.
yeah, I find that absolutely hilarious. It's funny because the John's saying, obviously, oh, how many champions has he beaten and stuff like this. It's like, well, hold on a minute, give me the opportunity to fight a champion and I'll go and prove myself. Do you know what I mean? So Tom, like I say, Tom is extremely skilled, and people don't, like I say, people don't realize just because his fights have finished so quickly. But he's shown all areas of MMA. He's taken people down. He's submitted them. He's also knocked guys out in the heavyweight division. He's got an all-around skill set. He's explosive, fast. And listen, when you're sparring so many rounds all the time, it's never an issue. With like I say with cardio, I don't know why that even comes into the picture. I think, like I say, people just often forget. He finished people so fast that they think, oh well, he won't be able to go later rounds. But come on now, you're not going to be an MMA fighter and not trained to be able to go 5 rounds, especially if you're fighting in championship rounds and stuff like this. And he's got such a unique skill set and such a good way of using his body. And he does the moves that work best for him. And like I say, he uses it really well. And I think the distancing, the range finding and stuff, this would be very difficult for anyone who fights him. And especially when he turns it on, he turns it on. And when he does, he's a beast. So like I say, I think this is the fight that everyone wants to see, and I really want to see it as well. So, like I say, I think the UFC need to make that fight happen.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Me and you've spoken in the past about, of course, the champion of your division, Alex Pereira. And we've spoken a bit as well about the kind of unique style of Dricus du Plessis. It seems like, that's a fight he's pushing for. It doesn't, I don't know whether that'll happen. Hamzat Chimaev, of course, is right there at middleweight, but Dricus going up to light heavyweight, do you think he'd be able to seriously threaten Alex Pereira? Because I think the initial reaction to that was like, what was he thinking? Because Alex Pereira is this intimidating guy, but I think a lot of people maybe are sleeping on how effective Dricus has been.
Well, I mean, the output. I mean, he's able to throw so many different shots, all different angles, at all times. You know what I mean? Not many people throw front leg roundhouse kicks that often and with that much fluidity. He's got a very awkward, different type of style, which means that the things that you're normally used to aren't going to be showing up when you're fighting against him. And he's got the wrestling and obviously the grappling. So he's a very well-rounded athlete. I'm 100% he'll give him a hard time. But then obviously, you got the left hook from hell. If that lands, it's not a good day for anyone. He just seems to be able to put it on at the right times and pressures at the right time. So, yeah, I think it's a very interesting fight for sure.
Do you think Pereira gets past Ankalaev? Of course, we need to get to that before we even talk about Dricus. And I mean, for how long have we been talking about Ankalaev being the guy that will finally, the one that will beat Alex? And it's finally here. And I think over time, a lot of people have slightly started leaning towards Alex a bit more. Maybe it's, just that of course he's coming off of an incredible 2024. He had a great year. Maybe the hype has died around Ankalaev a little bit, but still a huge test for Alex.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Ankalaev is definitely a threat. We haven't actually seen much of his grappling in his fights, although he does, talk about that quite a lot. Um, and obviously a southpaw, it's a different look. Obviously, we've seen Pereira do very well against southpaws as well, such as Khalil Roundtree. Um, you know, to be honest, like I say, Pereira is not just going to be fighting one dimensional. He's actually been able to level up every single fight and just continue to improve, and that's going to pose a lot more problems for Ankalaev. And like I say, judging from his last performance, although he won quite handily, will it be enough to beat Pereira? I don't know, and especially when Pereira puts the pressure on, it's difficult for anyone. So, like I say, it's just another interesting matchup in the light heavyweight division.
Let's talk about the matchup in the light heavyweight division that kicked this whole thing off. Your matchup coming up against Sakara. We spoke a little bit about the fight in Manchester, that wild fight with Pragnio that was outrageously entertaining. I knew that the style matchup was going to be super exciting between you guys, and it definitely panned out that way. Amazing to see you get that finish as well. I mean, I don't know how many times me and you have spoken about you getting the opportunity to fight in England. So to get that come around and get the finish, it was incredible. Do you expect a similarly kind of crazy fight between you and Sakara from what you've seen from him?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's very dangerous. Obviously, he's the things that he's good at. He's very good at. Obviously, he's more of a dynamic striker than what we've seen in the light heavyweight division as a whole. He can switch stances. He's got some dangerous tools, but like I say, I think my tools are definitely a lot sharper, a lot more crisp, and I feel like my skill set overall will be able to trump whatever he has. Like I say, he's a very very good athlete. He's athletic, but so am I, and I'm just going to show that I'm better in all those areas.
The Baltic Gladiator back on the road for this one, man. I can't wait to see it. I appreciate your time as always, bro, and
No worries.
wish you all the best with the travel off to Seattle. And I'm sure I'll catch you at some point in the next couple of weeks or months.
My man, thank you very much. Well, we'll definitely make sure we have a chat after this big win. Yeah,
For sure, man. All right. Nice one, man. All the best. I'll catch you later.
nice one.